welcome to the video. It's that time of year again. It's time for Inktober. Are you excited? Are you ready? Is it your first year or second year? For me, it's my fourth year. So I wanted to make a video about what my plans are for this year, as well as talk about some strategies I have that might help some of you all figure out how to finish, because as you may know if you've tried it before, or as you may have heard if you've never tried it, it can be really difficult to finish Inktober sometimes. So today we're just going to go over the tools I'm using, and if you want a more involved tips and tricks video, I would suggest clicking on the link that I'm going to put right here for my Inktober video from last year, because that was much more involved and compared a lot of different supplies. This year I'm showing you the supplies I want to use the most. So right now, here's some of the inks that I have that I want to use. This is my bottle of Sumi ink. I actually took a different ink bottle and put it in something I could fit a brush into, because originally my Sumi ink came in this little rectangular bottle that I couldn't get a brush into. So that's why that's there. And then I have some Black Star ink in the big bottle and some leftover Bombay ink, and I don't really know the differences between these two too well, except that I like how they make washes. So I will be using these inks as well as this ceramic palette. Now I suggest a ceramic palette mainly because it's sturdier and it's easier to clean. I was using this like $2, $3 really cheap plastic palette that it pretty much worked. But as you can see, it was very cheap. It's very hard to clean. Look at that. Look at all those ink spots on it. And it didn't affect like the color. Like none of that reactivates when it's wet. But it just kind of annoyed me. And it's really flimsy and I knock it around because I can be a little clumsy. So I'm not using that anymore. Here's some brushes. These are just cheap Grace Art nylon brushes that I found on Amazon. I will try and find at least an equivalent to these to link below to be helpful, because they were really inexpensive and really nice to use. And these are called snap brushes, and they're from Blick. And they're really nice. They hold a lot of water, they give me a nice stroke. And then I also have all of my water brushes and my filled ink brushes. And that's actually a water brush I filled with my own ink wash. And that's really good for taking ink wash on the go, because I don't think I'll always be home when I have to do my daily ink drawings. And so that's part of strategy one, is pick tools that you can take with you on the go if you have a busy life. And that way they're always there if you can get to it. Now here's a little clip from last year of me using the Canson Mixed Media XL sketchbook. This was a really good sketchbook for last year. But this year I wanted to up the paper game. So here's a stack of just like all the different watercolor pads I have in my house. I want to use a lot of washes, so I'm using a heavier weight watercolor paper instead of just Bristol or something like that. If you're just doing line art, Bristol works really well, but if you want to do layered washes, I suggest getting a watercolor paper that is around 140 pounds, because that's a good thickness. And if you want to use a slightly higher grade sketchbook, this is the Strathmore Mixed Media Sketchbook. It has really beautiful, slightly cream tone paper that isn't too textured. It's a little textured, but it holds all kinds of paints really well. So on that first page, you can see some gouache and acrylic and ink. And now here's some ink drawings I did just to practice with how it takes the ink wash. And I really love using inks on this paper. There's something about it just satisfying. It's really soft. The paper feels good. I don't know if I'll use this for Inktober pieces because I want them to all be finished, but that might take a very long time. So if I do some pieces on the go, this is what I'm going to keep on hand as well, in addition to my little pads. And now for color. I am still deciding what to do for color. But here's some Copic markers that are in some colors that I've narrowed down. And what I would do with color this year is I'm definitely going to keep it mostly monochrome, in that I'm going to use ink and ink wash and then have one highlight of color. I just don't know if I want to use it with Copic markers or this Winsor & Newton plum ink bottle color, or one of my other mixed colors that you'll see in a little bit. I have all these different Higgins inks. They're really cheap. They're dye inks, so they're not light fast, and neither are Copic, so if that matters to you, sorry, those are not archival materials, but I mean they'll last long enough for you to have a scan and keep it in a portfolio for a few years, so I don't personally care. So I will be using those for my spotches of color. And then I have my Copic fineliner pens, my handy dandy Signo white gel pen that I love, and some random brush markers I have lying around. Now here, I don't know if you can see this very well, but this is a list of prompts I made for myself based on my two characters, and this goes into the strategies I have for finishing Inktober. I don't always stick very well to a prompt list, and I like doing personal projects. So I made a prompt list with all these different scenarios I could put those characters in, and then that's one set of prompts that I may be working from in the next month. But then I also really liked this year's Inktober official list by Jake Parker. I haven't always stuck to this list, but for some reason this year it's just clicking with me. So I started sketching some thumbnails, which is what I have right here, just with whatever those prompts were bringing to mind. And so my two strategies for you are pick some prompt lists, pick more than one so that no matter what mood you're in, you'll have a variety of things to choose from, but not so many that you can't decide what to draw because you really want to sit down and just go. And my other strategy for you is, if you can, do some thumbnails at the end of the night after you finish an Inktober piece, in advance if you're watching this right before Inktober starts. Just get some ideas out there. It's not cheating to plan out some of the stuff you want to draw. I would even say that you could sketch some stuff in advance. I think the only thing that you maybe should not do in advance is the actual inked pieces, because the point is to do one a day. But anything that can get you drawing every single day and building good, solid drawing habits, I think would be in the spirit of this challenge. Jake Parker started this challenge, I believe, for himself to get back in touch with the finality of ink lines and the process of drawing every day, because it's really good for you to do something every day. It's really skill building. So I encourage you to take it on if you've never done it before and you're feeling a little inspired. I really hope that some of these tips help, and again, check out that other video if you want a more in-depth look at these tools, including some of the ones I'm using this year, because I actually swatched them in that other video. But until next time, I hope you have a really good Inktober, good luck with everything, and I'll see you soon, I hope. Bye!